What would you do if your sister sent you a picture of your wife leaning into another man at a rooftop bar while she told you she was home?
I was just about to leave the office when a message from my sister popped up. She was asking if everything was okay at home. I didn't get it at first, not until she sent me a screenshot from social media. It was a photo of my wife at some rooftop bar, leaning into a guy I'd never seen before. The caption read, "Living my best life again." My chest just tightened up and I couldn't breathe right. I called my wife immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. I drove home way too fast, my mind racing, hoping, praying the picture was old or fake or just some stupid misunderstanding. But when I pulled into the driveway, her car was gone. She had told me she'd be home all night. Inside, the house felt colder, emptier. It was like the energy of our home had just shifted. Her perfume was still hanging in the hallway, mixed with the faint smell of wine. I paced back and forth in the living room, waiting for her to come home and give me an explanation that made sense. She finally walked in after midnight, stumbling a little, a big smile on her face like nothing was wrong. The second she saw my expression, that smile vanished. I didn't say a word. I just showed her the screenshot on my phone. She just rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, that's just a friend from work." I asked her why her hand was on his chest if they were just friends. She shot back that I was overreacting and that I needed to trust her more. I told her that trust doesn't work that way, not when she keeps hiding things. She just brushed past me and went upstairs, saying she wasn't in the mood for drama. I just sat there alone on the couch, staring at the empty staircase where she'd disappeared. The next morning, she was acting like nothing had happened. She made coffee, hummed a little tune, and even asked if I wanted breakfast. I told her she needed to sit down, that we really needed to talk. She let out this big, dramatic sigh like I was ruining her entire day and said she was running late for work. That's when I told her I already knew she wasn't going to work because her boss had called earlier looking for her. Her eyes went wide for a second, but she quickly forced a smile and said her boss must have been confused. I looked her right in the eye and said I was done accepting lies as explanations. Without another word, she grabbed her keys and walked out the door. That afternoon, my neighbor knocked. He looked really uncomfortable, like he was wrestling with whether or not to say anything. He finally just came out with it. He told me he'd seen my wife getting dropped off late at night by a man in a silver sports car. My stomach just twisted into a knot as all the pieces started connecting in the most painful way. I thanked him and closed the door, leaning against it as my entire world just quietly crumbled around me. That evening, when she came home, I confronted her again. She tried to laugh it off, saying the neighbor must have seen wrong. When I asked where she'd been all day, she claimed she was at a meeting. I told her I'd tracked her phone. I knew she wasn't. She was silent for a few seconds, then she flipped it on me, calling me controlling. I told her I wasn't controlling anything. I was just uncovering everything she was trying so hard to hide. She stormed upstairs and slammed the bedroom door. I followed her. I told her we needed to fix this before it destroyed us completely. She turned to me, her voice cold, and said there was nothing to fix because she wasn't the one with the problem. Her words, they hit me harder than that picture ever did. I just walked back downstairs before I said something I would regret. Hours later, she came down, much calmer. She said she wanted space. I asked her, "Does space mean being with the man from the bar?" She froze for just a second before saying she didn't have to explain her friendships to me. I felt something inside me just quietly break. The next day, I took a half day from work. When she left the house, I followed her. She drove to a hotel near the airport and parked in the back lot. I just sat there and watched as she met the same man from the photo. I watched them walk into the hotel together. I stayed in my car for a long, long time, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, trying to figure out what to do next. Eventually, I just drove home. I knew the truth was all the evidence I would ever need. That night, she came back cheerful, pretending she'd been out shopping. I waited until she sat down on the couch. Then I placed my phone on the table. I played the video I had taken of her walking into the hotel with him. All the color drained from her face. She knew she couldn't lie her way out of it this time. She started with, "It's not what you think." I just cut her off. I told her I had stopped trying to guess because the reality was worse than anything I could have possibly imagined. She tried to cry, but I could tell the tears weren't real. I told her she needed to pack a bag and leave, for a while at least. She started yelling, calling me heartless, saying I was the one destroying everything. I looked at her and said, "You destroyed everything the moment you handed your loyalty to someone else." She begged me to talk it through calmly. I told her calm wasn't something she had earned anymore. She packed her bags so slowly, like she was expecting me to stop her at any second. I didn't. As she stood at the door, she turned around and asked if we were really done. I told her that trust doesn't survive half-truths and late-night hotel rooms. She left without another word. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was the heavy, oppressive silence that comes after a storm has ripped the roof right off your house. 2 days later, she sent a long message saying she regretted everything. She said the other man didn't matter and that she wanted to come home. I told her home wasn't a place she could just walk back into like nothing ever happened. She asked if there was any chance left for us at all. I told her that chances run out when lies run long. She never replied to that. Weeks later, I found myself finally breathing easier, like this massive weight on my chest had finally been lifted. I realized that healing doesn't always mean fixing what was broken. Sometimes healing is about letting the broken part go completely. Thanks for listening to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.